it's free accessibility, incorporating with it, because the gentleman is quite correct. You may have free accessibility yet, but you need free swimming lessons to go along with that. Because there's no point in having one without the other. Is there, it was after the question, are there plans to have that?
Free
swimming lessons.
We have, at the moment, we've got whananui, which is for young children. The difference with that is 5 free swimming lessons, and parents must get in the water with the children. So you have the parent education happening alongside the children, and there's a number of spin-offs in that you're able to give water safety messaging. So alongside learning to swim, you've got the thinking skills as well, which if you don't make the right decisions, no amount of knowing how to swim is going to save your life if you've made a wrong decision. So it's those two things hand in hand. And then also with the whananui, the spin-off with the swimming instructors that are running the whananui is that up to 30 to 40% in some areas come back and enrol for paid swimming lessons after that. So people see the value of that, which we all know is something that needs to happen. So that's one area, and there's some little brochures about whananui there. That's being run region-wide now. So that's, but as far as adult is concerned, we don't have any facility at the moment.
A couple of questions. Mary Dawson from the Arms Trust. And one of them is about the teaching swimming in schools and where that's got to, because I gather that used enormously, and there's the mobile pools that goes around. I'd like to know a bit more about that. And the other one was that there was a comment on here that the confidence was 77% after programs, and I was interested to know about that. Was that because people realise more about the risks, and therefore confidence wasn't as high as it might have been when they didn't know about the risks? Or?
I think we did it. So we did a pre and post survey. So exactly the same questions were asked pre and post, and so that was based on their confidence in the water before doing the program, and then their confidence after doing the 8 weeks in the water. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think, as David mentioned, it's around actually experiencing in the water. Being in sort of a closed environment, the pool to start with, and then building the skills and knowledge to actually move and transfer those skills into the open water as well. So I think it's a combination of everything that we do and the approach that we do with this particular program. So, and in terms of the school swimming, I'm not really specified to answer that question, so I'll hand it over.
Yes.
Hi, hello. My name is Sam Paj. I'm the coordinator of the Healthy Village Action Zone. I saw one of the shot on the pool show the approach that me and Harry supporting their elderly people, where they demonstrate the life-saving check-in in a swimming pool. Now, we have been challenged by some people, why do we need to demonstrate or educate the elderly people with life-saving check-ins? This is how we reach out to the young people, is we target our elderly people because they are the founders of most of the churches that we work with, and they take the message to their children. We see a lot of swimming program in the pool, supported by a lot of elderly people. They take their grandchildren to school, and I suppose this is where the confidence comes in. The grandparents are confident because of the knowledge that their grandchildren do receive. And also when they go for a beach trip during the summer, they are confident that they're able to pass this message on to the members of the church. So I also wanted to thank Stephanie for connecting us with Suffering Cross Trust, who funded us with that program last year. There are some barriers that are keeping us out sitting up before the gates in swimming pool where they get a lot of education from. It's the dress code. A lot of our big people get embarrassed or get jealous to wear a proper swimwear in a swimming pool. So it keeps them from receiving some of these educations that are provided in the pool. And we're asking if there's another way to cater for the need of our Sudan people in the swimming pool, that they may come forward and receive these educations there and be part of our community development. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. I think it's all part of what you were saying for the beginning, just meeting those cultural differences and not having the expectation that you'll take on board everything that the normal Kiwi has done over the last 2 or 3 generations, that there are differences. And I think there are places and pools where they are accepting difference, and because let's face it, your clothes don't weigh any more in the water than they weigh out of the water. So if you've got clothing that's, you know, a certain weight, it's when you go to get out of the water, when you try to move through the water, that's where the clothing impedes you. So it's not so much for hitting the weight of the clothing. So a pair of beach baggies and a light rash shirt, if you want to be covered, is not going to do anything to your swimming ability or how you can or can't move through the water. So, but then you talk about the elderly people. You might like to mention something about all the cultural differences of using what's appropriate for a specific culture of as far as transferring of knowledge and things goes.
Well, just that, in terms of Māori, Pacifica and Asian, there's a veneration of the older, and yet they're one of the most overlooked groups in terms of communicating widely to a community. And the thing that we've discovered is that many of the people that have most trust tend to be also the older people, yet they're very often the migrants, and therefore there are language issues, and there are issues of the sort that you suggested of size, for example. So I don't think as organisations we tend to think of the elderly as an immediate and important target group in terms of getting a community message out. It's not how we have often done things. And, I mean, I've talked about the Asian communities. What you will have noticed in the last few years, those communities have grown very significantly, and most of those people have lived nearly all of their life in China or in India or in Korea. They've arrived in New Zealand in their 60s or 70s or possibly their 80s. So how you communicate to that particular group, if you accept A, that they're an important target group, and B, that they're important to the community process, is a very interesting challenge. I mean, and there are examples. If you go over to Northcote, into the community village, there are all sorts of activities taking place with elderly Chinese there. I mean, there are some very good activities taking place. I'm not just saying there are.
So maybe we can get something elderly Chinese and we can say it down with your group.
I suppose where I was coming from, Professor, is that our young people that grow up in here, they think they know a lot. But we're having our grandparents and our parents here to kind of calm them down and get the message through. It's one of the topics that we feel is very, very important. And we know our grandparents. Like our Welsh people say in Samoa, each lagoon has its own seaways. So this is a seaway that we feel that we can tap in our people. Is to utilizing the knowledge of our elderly people.
Thank you for that, Sam. We'll see if we can increase those opportunities that we need made available to other areas.
Yes, good. I thought for today.
And you're
Megan Watson from other people on the board. But I guess I asked my question. I'm also a chair of the school board of trustees, and I know that you know, one is the skills that we give people, but the other is the access to the facilities. And I'm in this constant battle with the Ministry of Education. I don't know if any of the Ministry of Education are here. No, I'm surprised. And I guess, you know, is there any political lobbying going on at a central government level about getting more facilities in communities? We can't keep building big pools and big facilities to actually get these aquatic facilities out into our communities, because they just cost so much to run. But we have these communities that are based around schools that already provide pools that schools and communities access. And, you know, the ministry have got this very straight line. We do not build swimming pools. And lots of school boards, I know, made decisions to take their pools out. And I back them to keep mine every year because I see the long-term investment in our communities, that we can get our communities using it. And every child that comes out of that school has really confidence and more skills. And I just wonder, you know, can we transform what's happening in Auckland by trying to get you know, political will to change, and the Ministry of Education to see it as crucial to part of building lifelong learning.
I can just say something. We have tried very, very hard to work together to get across Auckland, a more holistic approach to the use of school pools and things. So there are the portable pools that are supplementing around the place, but there's better ways that we could use them, and I think that's up to us as an organisation, together with some of the others, like the sports trusts and things, to sit down and say how can we better use the school facilities. We have got models that we put in place in various places. We put a model in place across Glen and his community, and we worked with them for 2 years, but the funding disappeared after 2 years, and we were just endeavouring then. We had the early childhood centre coming to the pool in the morning at 8:30 till 9:30 before school started, using the pool. We had instructors in those pools at the time. So you got from the families who came to drop their children at school, or their preschoolers, had a water familiarisation class with a trained instructor there. Then you had sports things happening at lunchtime and things in the pool. So that, and then afterwards we had a group from, I remember one of the pools from the youth migrant group at Selwyn College, the Reef group, you did it, Stacey, they came in and used the pool after school and things. So it's sitting down, and there are different ways that you can use them, and we could utilise them so much better. There is portable heating units that could be bought for $10,000, which is not much money to go into the pool between Easter and Labor Weekend and Easter. So the school could use the pool throughout that whole time rather than the little 6 weeks, the majority of it, because those concrete pools are really good structures. It's the filter systems that are breaking down. So you could put a portable filter system in. So it's sitting and talking and discussing, getting the people, you know, because when they did the big survey of the use of pools some time ago over the, I forget the name of it, it was the Auckland City together with the sporting groups, they didn't take into account school pools. If they counted and took into account school pools, then we would, I think, have had a lot more water space that would have been retained rather than losing it to this.
I wonder if I could just ask Matt. Matt's the CEO of Water Safety New Zealand. Thank you for taking the time to come here. Water Safety New Zealand has a leadership and advocacy role. I wonder if you'd be able to give us an update on what you see as the relationship with the Ministry of Ed and that whole issue around school pools.
Sport NZ funded the development of a national facilities strategy earlier this year, aquatic facilities, and we contributed a bit of information to that. We carried out commissioned a couple of surveys of school pools across the country. But the bottom line is the biggest issue facing New Zealand kids is the reason why kids don't learn to swim is access to the water. Either too far to travel or they shouldn't use school pool. So school pools shouldn't close down, and that's what we put. And that's not to say that more school pools should be built. The emphasis on facilities that service the community is pretty important, and that type of approach takes time. So from our point of view, the point of lobby is one of no more school pools closed down, and we're going through a bit of change as an organisation, so we need to get our ducks lined up before we start trying to develop.
Did I answer your question, Amy?
Can I just go just one thing? The one institution that brings us all together, whoever we are, are schools. So if we fail at schools, we fail everywhere else in the line.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to share something with you. Rick Pickard, General Manager of John Walker Field Dreams Foundation. You most probably will be aware we have 4 programs. Our flagship program is our Community Swim. And we now are servicing 80 schools throughout Auckland South. And the program, what it is, it started in Otara, and we're now right through every school in Otara. Every child in year 3, 4, 5 and 6, they have 7 free lessons every year. There's 9 components to this swim program. We have 4 buses. We transport them from their school to the local pools. We have then qualified instructors, which we pay for as well. So every child in year 3, they have 7 lessons. Again in year 4, 5 and 6. And obviously it starts, the very first one, they're obviously all tested and put through the program to see where they are at in their confidence, all the way through to swimming 200 metres. And you may have seen it recently on TV and in the news, we've just had our 500,000 free swim. And our program now, we're right through Utara, Māngere, Papatoetoe, right out Auckland East and growing. So some excellent work going on there for our young ones.
Thank you very much, Rick. And we were very pleased 2 years ago, Water Safe Auckland, together with the Find-Your-Field and Dreams Community Swim, won the award for a collaborative program. Because what we do is we put the thinking knowledge into the schools. So the schools go off to, children go off and have their swimming lessons, and Water Safe Auckland provides their classroom work or the thinking skills for the teachers, who actually then give that pronged approach so that the children are getting both the physical skills and the thinking skills around keeping themselves safe and making those right decisions. So, yes, Siobhan.
Yeah, hi, I'm Siobhan Harry from Water Safe Auckland. I expect Auckland are lucky in that we have got the Greater Auckland Aquatic Action Plan, which is around all students in years 3 to 6 in deciles 1 to 6 schools having free swim lessons. But that leaves a gap. We have deciles 8, 9 and 10. We have years 1 to 2 in all of those schools. And we all know that swimming is a life skill that they need, but we know it actually doesn't keep everybody safe. So for us as an organisation, there's a challenge to what can we actually do with these high decile schools, because we're talking about those schools all that are on the shore, you know, that are there walking on the beach every single day. It's what they do. They hop on boats with their parents who have boats. So we've got high decile schools which actually get no support for this, and also we have low decile schools where the years 1 and 2 and the older students who are years 7s and 8s don't. We have also got the situation where we've got swimming lessons happen in school pools, which are great, and in portable pools. But what about community pools? If we're having lessons every single year, 10 lessons at a time, and we're in a small pool, we only ever learn to swim in a shallow pool where I can put my feet down every few metres. So we actually need to think about how we utilise our spaces that we have, because I want our students to be able to go into a deep pool, to be able to know what it's like to be out of their depth, to be in colder water. So when something happens out there, they are not in a nice warm pool which is still. So although we've got this great focus on this, we also need to think about what is it we are educating our students for if they are going to be citizens in Auckland. So what is the bigger picture that we want for them in the skills they need to learn, the attitudes and values, and what they need to know about the area in which they live, which is that bigger picture of aquatics education, learn to swim, water safety, and the knowledge and attitudes that they need to be safe in Auckland. So I think there's lots of challenges out there that we actually need to come to grips with in different communities and across the different sectors as well, in order for all our young people to actually enjoy lifelong learning out there. So a few challenges to throw out to everybody, I think, that we need to consider in that bigger picture going forward.
Sorry, just before you close off, could I just say a big thank you on behalf of Surfers Out of Northern Region and Surfers Out of New Zealand and the Simpsons for the work that Water Safe Auckland and Stacey in particular did with the WAI program. Absolutely incredible. And if I just tautoko the point that you made, learn to swim is absolutely critical from the surf lifesaving perspective. We need everyone to learn to swim. But learning to swim doesn't make you safe on our beaches and our recreational spaces. And our role in surf lifesaving is protecting those waterways. And we want to provide and support Water Safe Auckland, Water Safety New Zealand, and the broader community on educating people to be safe in our most fantastic environment. And we won't get the plus unless we work together with Learn to Swim and the wider organisations to do that.